Hello, my name is Simone Padour, and this is Paul Kearney live from the castle. And we are with the Access Consciousness UK and Ireland blog today, and we are going to talk about Earth Wizardry and what that is. So, Paul, tell me a little bit about what is that? Like, what does it mean to be an Earth Wizard?
Yeah, so often people perceive that the earth is it's like a piece of concrete, that it's inanimate, it doesn't really grow, it doesn't really change. The earth is a living organism the same as us. And what if our bodies are actually an extension of the earth? So the same energetic fields that run through the earth run through our bodies. And we're so connected to the earth and we don't realize it. A lot of the time we think, oh, I'm just me and I'm just a body. But what if we can contribute to the whole planet just by being a different energy?
Yeah, so how can somebody do that? How can they tap into that? Like for somebody that's never heard of Earth Wizardry or Access Consciousness, and they come across this video and they're like, but how?
Yeah, what the hell is this? You ask a question. So everything starts with asking a question. So how can I contribute to the earth? So in December, I did 5 days of energetic contributions to the earth, and it was incredible. Like the one thing I got was the earth just receives. So literally just ask, okay, what energetic contribution can I be to the earth? And allow that to contribute to you.
So you don't have to have an answer. You don't have to do it in a certain way. You don't have to stand on your head. None of that, right?
Well, you have to wait till there's a blue moon over the tide on the seventh day of the 7th year, and then you can do it. But yeah, that's the magic of the tools of access consciousness. What do you know? So it's tapping into your knowing about what you truly know, because the more that we acknowledge that we know everything and what's required in any given moment, and asking the question opens the space where we can be the contribution.
Excellent. So you could, if you wanted to go for a walk in nature, if you wanted to sit at your office desk, like you could do it literally anywhere.
Yeah, totally. And particularly in this time with COVID and everything that's going on, and like stress levels, I would say, around the world are at an all-time high. And it's like the more time that you can spend in nature, because nature wants to contribute to you, and just allow yourself to receive. I spent years teaching Tai Chi, and so much of it was connected to the earth and connecting into the earth. And all the ancient healing modalities had this, where they had like a deep connection to the earth, whether it was Native American Indians, whether it was Chinese culture, whether it was Indian culture, or whichever one it was. And it's like in our modern society, we've kind of forgot that we're connected to the earth, and that just spend time in nature, because nature allows your body to heal.
So what is one of your experiences been where you've done this and you just have been blown away by what you experienced?
Yeah, so the in December it was one of the sessions we were doing, and it was like, some mornings you wake up and you feel totally happy, and other mornings you feel totally funky. So I woke up and felt totally funky, and I was like, oh, I've got to do this call, blah 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 blah, and then so started energetically contributing to the earth, and it was like I started with, wow, I do have an energy that I can contribute to the earth, and when I contribute it, the earth actually becomes happier, and it's like subsequently I became happier, and it was like how much of the unhappiness or disjointedness in your world is actually the earth's, and you can contribute it to the earth, and just literally say, okay, what can I contribute to the earth? And energetically just ask the question, and then automatically it starts, because so much body pain and different things are actually connected with the earth. There's an energy that we can contribute to the earth that we're not giving, that when we give it changes everything.
So it really flies in the face of a lot of what's been talked about, that we're sort of the scourge of the earth, and we're we're the disease of the earth. We can actually be the contribution, is what you're saying, rather than thinking that we are a plague.
Yeah, well, if we choose to work from consciousness, because it's a very valid point. Like there is certain people on the planet who are absolutely destroying the planet. Like some of the mining we're doing, some of the deforestation is having devastating effects, and it's like it's creating a result that we don't desire. And it's like, what if we truly nurtured the earth and nurtured the planet? Because all livelihoods that are sustainable work in line with nature in some way. so that it's like trees produce fruit every day, but like, or every year. If you cut down the tree, then you don't have your supply of fruit. It's like looking at it from a more long-term view in terms of 500 years, 5,000 years, 100,000 years. What are we looking to create with the earth so it's greater for us, but also for all the future generations that are coming?
Well, and I've noticed too, like the building has started at El Lugar, which is a creation of Gary Douglas and Dane here in Costa Rica. And I know that they talked about building the houses where the earth would like them placed rather than where people think they're placed.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that, where because we have this assumption if we just recycle and we drive electric cars and we that we'll save the earth, right?
Yeah.
So what's a different point of view about that?
Yeah, great question. What if the earth doesn't need to be saved? What if we just have to change some of the things that we're doing and change our viewpoint in terms of how we look at it? So it's a great example. So El Lugar is an ecological resort that's been built in northern Costa Rica. It's an absolutely stunning piece of land. So a certain amount of the land is being turned into a nature reserve, and a small amount is being developed into kind of like a conference center with houses there. But what they're doing is asking from the question, okay, where would the buildings like to be built? And they're being built in light steel, then with handmade tiles on top. And so there's even the design for the air conditioning is quite ingenious. So they're pylons that are driven into the ground, and then the house is above the ground. So all the cool air can accumulate underneath the house, and it allows for circulation of the air so that you minimize the amount of air conditioning if it's required at all, because we're quite hopeful that air conditioning may not be required because the flow of air will be sufficient. And it's looking at, okay, where would be a location that would be a contribution to the earth? So it's just asking that question and then seeing what pops. Okay, we could have one here, we could have one here, we could have one here, and being always willing to change. So initially the conference center was going to have 500 people. And then they looked at it and they were like, okay, the conference center actually wants to be smaller. So David Kubes and David Caddy, who are leading the project, were like, okay, we want to make it smaller. And then what happened was they rang Gary and they were like, Gary, we actually have to make this room smaller. And he was like, yeah, I knew that already. So it was like it's allowing the earth to contribute. So what would be a contribution?
Well, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about this the other day, and the castle that you're seated in
Yes.
is something like that. I remember Gary saying when he first came and had been abandoned for several years, and it was still alive. It was still, I mean, sure, it needed a lot of work, but it still had the integrity, the structural integrity. So it's not old information, or it isn't new information. It's information that some people have been willing to have throughout history. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. And it's actually a great point, because the air conditioning in the castle, so there's a large well at the front door, and in the winter we cover it with a carpet so that the cold air doesn't rise up. And then in the summer, so usually around the middle of April, we just pull the carpet back, and then we open windows at the top of the castle. So it's 4 floors. We open windows at the top, and it actually pulls the cold air up through the whole building and out through the window. So it creates a suction. So you have this situation where there's times when you could be walking along, and it can be very hot outside, and you're feeling this cold draft of air coming up, and you're like, oh, somebody must have left their fridge open or something like that. And it's like you go down, but it's actually the air being pulled up through the whole building.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and it's probably from maybe the 1700s, approximately, at that type of time. So it's like when you build in communion with the earth, simple solutions show up, but they're very, very, very effective.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to end there because that was just beautiful, Paul.
No problem.
So if you want to know more about Paul, where did you go?
For me, it's iampaulcarney.com. And then for Earth Wizards, there's a free Facebook group that if you'd like to join. So it's Earth Wizards on Facebook. Just put it into groups. Join the group. There's lots of videos, lots of information. Dr. Dane here and Gary Douglas are often sharing information in there and what's truly possible with the Earth.
And you mentioned a Facebook page too, that people could join.
Yes. Earth Wizards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Earth Wizards. Just pop that into Facebook and that'll bring it up. And
Excellent.
it's awesome actually. It's like I think there's around 41,000 people there at present, but they're all sharing different information about the Earth and different ways of looking at things. And like there's so many cool things happening in the planet. And now with technology, we can share information so rapidly. Literally, one person pops in a video and it can go viral all over the place. So
Oh,
it's
that's exciting.
possible. Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you
And
so much. Always a
I look
pleasure.
forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.